Hey everybody, welcome. It's Pete. Thank you so much for attending today's episode of Today's Best Stock Picks. It is Monday morning, July 13th, 2020. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to talk about price action, volume, what are the best trades setting up today. It's going to be interesting because we had a super light trading week last week. It seemed like the volume just kept dropping off as each day of the week. It's almost like we were heading into a holiday last week. But what's interesting is what the market did not do last week, which was sell off. It seemed like especially if you were day trading, it seemed like every pullback was just met with more buying, and it wasn't significant buying. But what's interesting is the lack of sellers. So the big thing that we're going to be paying attention to this week is we have earnings, which are very exciting. We're obviously going to talk about Tesla today, which is on everybody's lips. And then we're going to talk about some of the probabilities of profit. We talked a little bit about that in today's swing trading video, but we're going to talk about there's some opportunity in stocks that are obvious buying opportunities, but they're a little bit too far extended where if you get involved with them today, you're probably going to end up sitting on a losing trade for a couple of days. And we have some other opportunities that are much better where the timing will be a little bit better so that you put on that trade and it feels like it kind of moves in your favor right away and it's a little bit easier to manage. If you find these videos helpful, definitely click down and subscribe. That would mean the world to me. And also I wanted to say thank you to June Barcenas, who is a subscriber to the channel, and we found out this weekend that he watches it. So June, I just want to say thank you, and I wanted to say hello. And if anybody wants to leave a comment or feedback about a stock that you would like to see me review in the future, absolutely leave that below and I'll get to you as soon as I can. So let's head over to the charts and let's set up some trades for the day and for the week, actually. So we're going to start out with the SPY. What we talked about briefly here, if you are new to the channel, obviously up here is the resistance level. However, if you're a tape reader, if you're a good trader, you start to make adjustments, you start to adapt. And earlier last week, we moved it from up here to down here because, as you know, a big thing that we discuss is what is the real price that price action is struggling with? What is the real price that we need to get through? What is the real price buyers or sellers are having a hard time with? And the exact price, actually, that we kind of watched the entire week, which was 315.50. We actually got around that on Friday. We closed on the highs on Friday. We had just a slow grinding move to the upside. But as I said, even with volume being light, which we can take a look at what that means, you can see that the day's higher volume just kind of went lower. You would think it would kind of be the opposite, where on the days we move higher, volume should be higher. What did not happen last week is sellers with the light volume did not step in and push prices lower. So every opportunity that they had where the market started rolling over, the VIX started trading higher, it really just didn't follow through. It felt more like profit taking than short selling. So in other words, profit taking means you already own the stock, and as it goes higher, you're looking for areas to take it. Short selling would be on top of that, where you would see a little bit heavier moves to the downside, and we did not see that. So no matter what we believe about the economy, jobless claims, the pandemic, all of the things, what's going on in the world right now, we're not seeing prices roll over. The futures are up a little bit right now, and we have to be looking to that big blue line pointing higher right now. So again, the better opportunities are to be looking for spots to buy. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed at how many people email me, comment, and just can't wait to be a short seller right now because they're finding it hard to make money on the long side. They're finding it hard to make money buying, but that only means that your timing stinks. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. You need to fine tune your entry. So watch today's Stocks for Breakfast video, and we're going to cover a couple of those trades right now, those kinds of ideas about how to time your entries better. So really the bottom line right now is the weekly chart of the SPY is now well bid. So in other words, higher highs and higher lows, closing on the highs. You can clearly see we have resistance, and then we'd be looking at all-time highs. So we need to maintain above this level. That's really the point. The level we're looking at right now is it's technically 315.61. I have 315.50. You know, that's the exact number versus what's the real price. That's the thing. We need to stay above this level. Whether it 315.50 is what I would call the line in the sand where I'm reading the tape. As long as we stay above that, and especially if we stay above the previous day's close, then we start to then we're cooking. Then we actually can get some good moves. Now, the reason I'm focusing on the market a lot right now, which is something we haven't done in a while, is because we've been very, very stock specific, and that's been affecting our conviction level in the ideas. And without the market, we've been making money. If the market should happen to get a little bit of juice behind it, a little bit of buying and a little bit of push and pause, we could really start to squeeze some more out of those winners and maybe even trade a little bit bigger size if we start to get some of that backing from the market. Congratulations to everybody last week, by the way, getting some really good feedback, and especially people in the boot camp who have taken advantage of some of the calls. Last week we had OSTK, which was just a really, really good intraday trade. But I think the trade of the week for us probably was Roku. We actually got long on Thursday based on reading the tape and whatnot. Our target was 160. We actually hit it in 2 days. Just a phenomenal job by everybody in the tape reading room with us. And you made your entire month really in a day and a half, especially on Thursday, and got some really good follow through on Friday. I think what was interesting on Friday is we kept going back and forth about the price target. We had 160, and it literally came within 18 cents of our target. So super important before the trade starts to set your levels of what you need the stock to look like. So Tesla obviously squeezing the bejesus out of the short sellers right now. It's actually up another $78 this morning. I'm going to point out here something very different, which should be blatantly obvious after you see this. You can't unsee it, which is essentially this. We have this kind of move here, and people saying it's too late, versus we have a 3 or 4 day pause here, and Friday was the first day out of the pause, and it looks like we're getting a higher move now as well. So obviously there's a difference between a $78 gap higher and wanting to be a buyer versus it opening it at the same price where it closed on Friday. That's not going to happen. We're $80 higher as of right now, a few hours before the market opens. So today, Tesla absolutely along, absolutely can still initiate a swing trade, but I would be a little bit careful about doing that on the higher opening. If you're not day trading and you're swing trading a little bit, I'd probably have an order below today's gap so you could let the stock breathe a little bit and then get filled and have a stop loss based on today's entry if you might not happen to be long. So that's the situation. There's a different trade here. That's buying too late if you're looking to buy in this area, which again, this doesn't look like a lot, but it's a $100 move, right? Versus buying here. So the point is Tesla is on our radar today, but I'm not going to be buying the $80 gap higher. I want the stock to breathe a little bit, probably have a limited order lower than today's open, and we're going to end up entering what we call a false positive trade. Some news this week, obviously we have some earnings as well. Netflix on Thursday, we have the banks, and speaking of the banks, we're going to touch on them very briefly here. They were very strong last week and actually had some decent volume. But when I say last week, I'm specifically talking about Friday. I have some bias towards the last trading day. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. JP Morgan was super strong on Friday. Citibank and Morgan Stanley, just really, really solid trend days. The problem is we didn't trade them because the daily charts are just pretty much an absolute mess, very similar to Boeing. However, what we could be looking for today, and this is very micro, where we're talking about trading off of Friday's price action, looking for follow through. Just remember your conviction level should not be massively high because it's only 1 day's worth of price action, but absolutely something to keep note. They had the stress test for the banks within the last month and all of this possible negative news. And if you take a look at JP Morgan, it looks like it should have fallen off a cliff here with all of this room down here, and it didn't. It actually broke support and turned in the other direction. So you probably have a lot of shorts trapped right now as well. Short covering rallies are fast, and that's what we're looking to have happen here. So let's see how that ends up unfolding as well. So we start getting into some of the actual trading ideas. FSLY continues to be on our long list. What I don't like about FSLI, it's absolutely a long. It's not a long with a lot of conviction. I'll show you why. On Friday, when the market was actually trading higher, FSLI actually sold off from 99 down to 91 and change. That's a pretty big move while the market's actually trading higher. So that's actually some selling into strength in the market. So and that's a good tape reading lesson there, by the way. So that's interesting to note how heavy the selling was, while the market was trading in a completely different direction. So my point is that the big thing I want to bring up about this is my point is it's still a long, but something has changed. So that should change your conviction level because it did not trade well with the market. The stock should have exploded while the market was going higher. Instead, the smart money was selling into the strength in the market, which typically means a top in the stock. So it's going to be interesting to see how that ends up unfolding. CWH actually broke out on some really clean volume on Friday, and actually we might even call this a fuel candlestick because it happened on large volume. Finally got above the $28 level that we were looking for, maybe like 28, 29 in that area. So as long as it stays above 29, which looks like it's going to, we're good for initiating a new swing trade there as well. Peloton, again, very good stock that keeps traveling. Not a great stock to day trade, drive you out of your mind day trading. But now the stock has actually rallied from basically 56 to, let's call it 68.5. Absolutely love the stock long. I wouldn't necessarily be getting long a new swing trade. I'd be looking for this, a couple of days pause before we punch to the upside as well. Lennar, we keep pulling this up because I want to make sure it's in your watch list. We have now consolidated for 3 days at resistance with some room to go. Not massive room to go, but basically around $7, $8. Not a bad swing trade. So this is very similar to the Netflix, the Roku trade, where the price action reading the tape was similar, kept getting up to that level, and this time it didn't sell off hard, which you can see here, got there and sold. Well, again, this was March, that's everybody sold off hard, but got there and sold off, got there and sold off, got there and sold off. This time we're hanging out there for 3 or 4 days, so it's going to be very interesting to see. Set the alert for above 66 here in Lennar, looking for 75. Oh, by the way, the CWH trade, our initial target here is 35, looking for a pause and then a new move to the upside. Let's see, Spot and Adobe are in our list. And again, you can see this stock has not been very friendly to day traders because of all of these melted candles, which makes it very annoying to trade. You're not getting clean follow through. So again, taking a quick look at the tape and looking at the charts, we are making new highs 4 days in a row of closing higher. And closing above the open, but volume just kept decreasing. So again, something's changing. The rallies you want to see the stock trade higher, 100% along. My point here is when you're managing the trade, manage it with building a position as opposed to going in full size, because when something changes, your trade management should change. That's a big, big part of trading that most people never learn. So there it is. You just learned it. One that we never talk about, which is surprising, is Google flirting with all-time highs. Again, some of these are expensive stocks, Google, Amazon, Tesla. Trade options. I mean, the bottom line is this is probably the wrong time to be buying options after a move of this magnitude and this short. The premiums are probably very expensive at this point. So I'd be waiting for it to pause. But again, all of these stocks that are at all-time highs, you need to be looking for spots to get long stocks that are all-time highs. If they break out and fail, you simply be an adult, you be a trader, get out, scale out, and then look for a spot to get back in. The one that is super interesting to me, I want to point out one today from Rand, who pointed this out last week. She called this breakout last week, ran in our community, and now the stock has just exploded. It actually paused a little bit on Friday. As long as it's above Friday's high and Thursday's high, I'm still looking for a spot to get long. 2 stocks that I generally don't trade but set up kind of well, and again, Take-Two and Electronic Arts. I think out of the two, I probably, at this point, Take-Two has traveled far enough where I think a higher opening is going to see profit taking. So I wouldn't be looking to get long this. I'd be waiting for this one to pause. But you can have a sympathy play in EA, because it's just a couple of days out of this. And actually, we got one of our favorite entries right here. But last but not least, we want to finish up with Facebook. We've been stalking Facebook for a while now. We actually looked to get long and did get long in this area over here. We were looking for it to go all the way down to 195. It didn't. But when this recovered, we had what we call a bullish U-turn and started trading it long. It's actually been pretty good for us. The interesting thing about the stock, especially if you're a day trader, is buying pullbacks seem to be a better way to trade the stock than buying strength. That might change now. This 240 level has been the price that it's been having a really hard time getting above and staying above. But now we have a couple of days of consolidation at this level. I am going to be looking to be aggressive in this stock. If it breaks out of today's, the last 2 days price action, stays above those levels, and then stays above the main price action that we watch as day traders, this could be a fun trade today. So we're going to, we'll see what happens in Facebook. So make sure you have that on your list. So we got earnings this week, Netflix on Thursday, some of the big banks, a couple of stocks trading at all-time highs. Facebook is going to be an interesting one for me to look at today. Keep an eye on FSLY. It's absolutely a long, but that volume is changing a little bit. So work your orders. And of course, DocuSign is still in our list as well as it has been. So if you like these videos, absolutely click down and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching to the end with me, and have a safe day. Let's have a profitable week, everybody. Take care.